Welcome to Cyclops is Waiting for Me, an X-Men animated recap podcast with the Marvel anime X-Men, Episode 5, Power. I'm JC, and want to start off this episode, day before the recording of this one. Our buddy David Arrigo Jr., who many of you know as Leech and a bunch of other voices on X-Men 97, he won, I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up, the 2026 Children and Families Emmy Award for Outstanding Multiple Role Voice Performer in Children's or Young Teen Programming. So big shout out to David on that one, especially because we love to say the anecdote for one of the software that Rod was using to edit. He maxed out the number of voices during our interview with him. Yeah. So love that, and really happy for David on that one. And then also, just something, I don't know if you saw it, Rod. They announced a Marvel Collection video game that is called the Maximum Collection. And on that, it has the X-Men arcade game. For the first time, you could buy it in 13 years. So
yeah, I was gonna mention that because it's a pretty comprehensive. It's very comparable to the Mortal Kombat collection that came out because, of course, they have the King, right, the X-Men arcade. And has online multiplayer. That's going to be crazy if it works well. What I want from the online multiplayer is I want it to be the same as Marvel Cosmic Invasion or the Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge game, where people could just drop in and out randomly. You just open your party up. Because it's great, because it doesn't have voice chat or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about lunatics coming in your game. But being there mid-level if you're playing Cyclops, and then all of a sudden Colossus just pops in and he's there with you. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, but other notable things for me at least is Captain America and the Avengers,
which it's multiple versions of it too. It's not just there's the 8-bit version and stuff like that, which I'd never seen. So I'm excited about that one too.
Yeah, I haven't seen the 8-bit version. I think I played it on SNES. As a kid, maybe.
I played it on SNES, and I know I played it in the arcade too. So,
yeah, and I think that was one of the earliest times I was introduced to Vision. Mm-hmm. So for me, Vision was always that white color, yep. But also notably, forget there was a YouTube channel that made those 8-bit parody videos. Mm-hmm. And they picked on that one because if you played that game in the arcade, it had the "Don't Do Drugs" at the beginning with Captain America, and famously, Captain America is the only Avenger that got his powers from drugs.
I think that was a Dorkly bit.
Dorkly, yeah.
Yes, yep, yeah. They still do those actually. So
yeah, I catch them every once in a while. Obviously, they take a while to do, but that one. And then I never actually played it as a kid because I probably couldn't beat it. But from Angry Video Game Nerd days, the Silver Surfer game, the infamous unbeatable Silver.
I've never played it before. This will be my first time.
I'm assuming they're going to have save states and invincibility and all that stuff, so people can actually get through the game.
Maybe.
But it's one of those games where if you watch the AVGN video, he'll show the screen a screenshot and be there is one narrow path that you could possibly get through this with all the the projectiles going through the air and stuff, and
yep.
And you get one hit before you die. There's no life meters.
Nope.
So anyway, and there's a bunch of stuff in there.
I can't wait to not play that game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that if they do it like they do with Mortal Kombat, they'll have certain automatic cheats you can enable and stuff. And I'm assuming for that one, they had to include it because of the notoriety of how difficult it was. But they have to have if they don't have an invincibility mode on that game, then they just didn't get the joke of having it on there. But also that game has one of the best soundtracks ever, so a lot of people are going to discover that. But
the only thing I will say I'm disappointed by, the side-scrolling beat-em-up Spider-Man game from the arcade that has Hawkeye, Black Cat, Namor, and Spider-Man is not in the collection.
Oh yeah,
that's the one that's not in the collection that would have made sense. So
I forgot about that game. Yeah, I wonder if they're saving that for something else. That's another.
Yeah, if there's a part 2 that has the X-Men Genesis game or stuff like that, And
I'm Rod, and I am right off the heels of a recording session, so I'm feeling good. Which also about 2 weeks straight of recording, so of music recording sessions. So actually, this will be fun because I watched these 2 episodes last night in between 4 hours of sleep. So
Perfect.
we'll see. I have my notes, and we're going to see how well I took notes last night and how coherent. They might be like your notes, only typed out.
Look, my notes are great. I just can't read them. There's a difference.
Yeah. Mine are like, I can technically read them. Cyclops is Waiting for Me is our podcast series where we're going back and watching every single X-Men animated episode we can find. This podcast started with the original 1992 X-Men, the animated series, building up to the release of X-Men 97. Along the way, we've completed X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and the X-Men, and have our companion interview show, the Xavier Files. Season 2 of X-Men 97 is coming this summer, but until then, we're going to be diving into Marvel anime X-Men for our very first time. I also, and if you've been listening this far, you know this is like my functional first time, even though I technically watched it like, 12, 13 years ago. I was going through the DVD again. There's roughly an hour of extras, so I guess if we need to buy time later, we can go through some of that.
There's no when we need to buy time.
There's a couple like 10-minute featurettes that I'm not spoiling for myself, so I haven't like clicked into them. There's one like 30 or 40-minute, looks like interview with the creators and or some animators or something. It's 2 Asian men, and I haven't clicked into it yet, and I hope that I was smart enough because I don't have a functioning DVD player. I've like ripped them into my computer. I have the DVD and I ripped the files. I'm hoping I was smart enough to rip the subtitles if the interview is not in English. But we'll see. But yeah, I looked and it looks like there's a couple 10-minute things and like a 40-minute thing. So I was like roughly maybe an hour-ish of extra stuff.
Also, aside from the websites that you shouldn't use to download this, I think the episodes are actually available on Apple TV too.
Oh, really?
Which I was not expecting.
Sure.
Yeah. So, some quick reminders. We're a recap show about a series that started over 15 years ago. There are going to be spoilers, and if you don't want it spoiled for you, pause the podcast, watch the episode, however you can get to it, and then come back. We are currently not sponsored or affiliated with Marvel Animation, Disney, or Disney+.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Cyclops IWFM Pod on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok. Let me tell you about TikTok.
You just called it TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, the day that we're recording this, TikTok has gone down again. So
really?
For anybody keeping track, well, kind of. So in January, there was a U.S. server transition, which went as well as you would expect, and arguably never really recovered from. And then today, a large percentage of people online have said that they can't like use the app. So if you want to go on TikTok, I guess have fun.
Also, have you posted anything to TikTok for our account in like the last 3 months?
Not really.
Okay, then probably don't even need to worry about going to TikTok for our stuff.
I don't know, because I might get motivated. Usually, I get motivated and post about 4 months worth of content at once.
It's true. I did finally start uploading this week the reels, cross-posting them to YouTube because you had forgotten about shorts for a very long time. Oh, yeah. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 5, titled Power. It originally aired on May 6th of 2011 in Japan under the title Unity. In the U.S., it would air on November 18th, 2011, and it currently sits at a 6.9 rating on IMDb. Interestingly enough, this episode and the next episode both are 6.9 ratings, and that is also in a top rated number for the series. So,
all right.
I don't know. There's something about it just from it being anime that I think it gets judged harsher than a standard traditional Western animation for some reason. So
I will say, I remember when this came out and me and my friend were watching it, and then we had mentioned it to a couple of other friends, and not very many other people had watched it, but some had. And the general criticism that everybody else had is how slow it was. Because it's just so used to really fast paced. And I don't actually really watch anime that often. But for me, I liked this kind of non-hectic pace. I love my hectic X-Men. X-Men 97 was a speed run of 20 years of stories. But I thought it was a nice change of pace, to go through these stories, and even the little quirks that we've noticed and we pointed out, even with those, is still this more kind of realistic, not in the sci-fi sense, but realistic in Like, I think there's an episode, either this one or the next one, where like Wolverine's like, "Oh, you're still a dick." It's like, okay, so that's how Wolverine would talk.
This one, that's
You
this
know?
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even like, but I think like even in X-Men 97, in my head he talks like that, but on TV he can't. You know, so like,
Yeah, I totally can see that. It's like, it's not that it's realistic. It's more. It's just like grounded. Is like kind of how I would feel it out, which is wild because there's giant robots and fucking human and stuff like that. So, but the episode kicks off with Hisako, who's in uniform for the first time and standing in front of this like rock pillar that starts cracking, and then a blue laser starts to cut through it, and then we see for the first time this show's version of a Sentinel. What was your thought on the Sentinel, like overall, like the design and stuff like that?
oh, I liked it. To me, it like stayed true to like the design that I'm used to from like '92 and stuff. But I also like how it kind of, maybe I can grab it here. I felt like it paid homage to, I don't know if it's probably a comic thing, but the toy at least.
Oh, the shooting hands.
Like a bunch of stuff in the background is gonna fall.
Yep.
But yeah, like with the.
Yep. The sound effect of it hitting your garbage pail is too good.
Yeah. You can't see Lucy over here. She's just like, what is going on?
She's sick of your shit. So, I liked it. I thought the facial expression was a little like weird, like it looked like it had lips. But outside of that, I thought it was good.
It's fun. Yeah, I did, and I like the ominousness of it. So I don't know if that's so much the design, but just the pacing of it. Because obviously we know in these shows that this is just a danger room thing. When they cold open with stuff like this, it's always a danger room situation.
Right.
But they still made it like scary with the arms like holding her up.
Yeah. It starts out where I'm trying to figure out, is there something to her power of like blue is her fully in control, yellow is like still in control but on the edge, and then red is she's lost it? Like, is that how we're supposed to read it? Because in the comics she's just red, like it's just everything's always red. But here it feels like her color is reflective of like her like vibe at the time and stuff. So
I was actually going to ask you, because I don't know this character outside of this show, if her characterization is normally like this, or if they've kind of leaned it more to be like Jean, which we'll talk about later in this episode. And maybe that's where the color comes in. So
I've read the original minis, or the original series where she got introduced with the Joss Whedon Astonishing X-Men. I haven't read that in almost 20 years though. So her early characterization, I don't remember a ton of because it's been so long. Her most recent characterization isn't treated like this. She's more of more in control than anything else. She's not like a little bit like loose cannon-y or unhinged or anything like that.
Yeah, so they probably just put that in there so Scott had something to like parallel his drama with.
I could be speaking out of turn, so somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on this. I think in the comic version there is something to her power is strengthened because of some connection with her ancestors and stuff like that, which at least in this cool. It doesn't touch upon that, but I think that was a thing. It feels like it was in the mainstream book, but I again, it's been a while since I've read anything that's focused on her as a character. So
that's cool. Yeah. I like that. I like when that Echo did that, and like the Airbender series obviously does that. And I think it's a really cool. I like the way they show that visually sometimes when they have those kind of powers. So she, like you were saying, gets grabbed by the Sentinel arms. They shoot her. It looks like she gets shot through the stomach from like the laser out of the Sentinel's mouth. And then she proceeds to fall into a pit. And that's where the reveal, like you said, we all knew it was going to be the danger room. They're not going to just have a random fight with her at the beginning of an episode with a Sentinel. And Wolverine kind of like gives her a little bit of a nudge, like time to get up. And Wolverine is like the calmest teacher version of Wolverine I've ever seen. Oh, that's funny because my note was Wolverine just doesn't care. She's traumatized because she was kind of like whimpering, and you remember like she's like a high school student, and it's presumably like her first time in there, and he's like, "What's wrong? Get up."
Okay, I can see that. I'm just used to Wolverine just being like, "All right, get up, do it again," like a little more like drill sergeant. But obviously
so
they didn't.
I guess it's like both. Like he was calm. You're right because he didn't yell at her. I wasn't expecting him to baby her, but it was kind of funny. He was like, "This child just got shot for the first time."
I like Cyclops is like questioning Emma. What did you ever teach her, about the extent of her powers? And then there was a really interesting animation choice where Wolverine is like mentioning like building her guns and then does like the bodybuilder pose in the background. I was like, okay, somebody that would not happen in any Americanized version of the show, basically.
It makes you wonder if that was original dialogue too.
I feel like it has to be. It's such a specific. It's like whatever the local equivalent of that phrase is,
Yeah. Or if because I know my friend Kat McDowell back in old school YouTube days, we would collabs with her every once in a while, and we would like translate our songs in Japanese and stuff. And more times than not, she'd be like, "There's not really a phrase in Japanese for that sentiment." So yeah, maybe like this is the closest there was to, but maybe there's like a more like colloquial, saying or something that was happening there that make more sense, and it wasn't such like out of left field, like accusing this like an online tutor of not physically training a student more,
Hisako is defensive of Emma because Emma's like been her savior and stuff like that, and Scott is in full Scott mode. Like, I'm kind of digging him right now. I love how he's like, well, I don't really owe anything to Emma. She's not a member of the team. Also, finish middle school before you give me shit. And it's like, her whole defense is just, I'm in high school though. Like, she has no defense.
Yeah, that's why I learned she was in high school. I guess we knew she was younger. I assumed when he said like middle school, I was like, oh, she's in middle school, and then I had like backspace my notes. But it wasn't just Wolverine that was kind of like the whole team just was like she's gonna have to grow up fast. I mean, even Storm, even though she didn't necessarily say anything, she was still just standing there. And so I guess they all just kind of agreed like, well, she's gonna have to kind of toughen up because we're at war.
Yeah. She is a child soldier at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
But I know this was the 2010s, but like 90s, right? Like everything's about child soldiers.
I mean, the X-Men have literally been child soldiers since the 60s. So,
yeah.
Jump over to Beast in his lab, and he's talking about how Emma has no signs of the virus in her system, but he needs to check on those others. Quick localization difference, though. In the Japanese original version, she does have a virus in her, but it's a benign version of it, as opposed to no virus at all. So just little subtle difference between the local versions.
So I wonder if that's going to come to play, because I assumed that this was going to be like a mystery for later on, but maybe they just don't address it if it was addressed here in the original.
Or, call me crazy, they assume that the American audience wouldn't know what benign meant and just went with the easy answer of there's no virus.
Yeah. It's kind of like the same mystery of like, where did like Hisako's like best friend come from? She's kind of like there all the time.
She just lives in that house is what so Beast is going to work on an antiviral and take it back to Japan. You get a moment of sad Scott not saying anything with the Jean photo in the background and holding the necklace. Like I legitimately wonder if that was them like giving a nod to sad Wolverine from the 92 series, because it's like very similar, like quiet, dejected tone and stuff like that.
It almost seems like the multiverse flip, right? Like the variant. But also made me wonder if that's going to be like a canon event for Jean. There's always a photo of her, in a frame somewhere. Because, like, you know, like in Spider-Verse, where it's like, oh, Uncle Ben dying, that's a canon event for all Spider-Man across multiverses. Is there, like, a photo moment for Jean and all these, like, shit?
There's always a Jean dying moment. That's pretty canon for Jean, you know?
That's kind of a funny, dark... I think there's always, like, a lone, like, lover or, like, unrequited love with a photo somewhere.
Sometimes she's alive during the photo, sometimes she's not, but yeah. Over in the war room, Xavier is like, well, we're going to add somebody to the family. I don't believe the original version said family there. That to me was saying to the team, I don't think he would have called... Just the phrasing of add somebody to the family just felt... It didn't feel authentic to Xavier for me. I think that was a translation swap.
Gotcha.
And he suggests adding Hisako as a junior member. Everybody's cool with it. And then he proposes Emma. And of course, Cyclops is not a fan of it. Because why would he be?
Did that feel like it was almost like a petty moment from Xavier's side?
It felt like it was a rushed moment from Xavier's side.
Like, if he was if he was half considering it, then when he, like, overheard in the danger room, she was like, why do I owe anything to her? She's not a member of the team. Hard, like, 90s sitcom hard cut. Like, let's make her a member of the team.
Yep. Wolverine is cool with it. Scott doubts it. And Scott is basically like, all right, well, you want to do this? Check her memory. And this version of Xavier is like, well, I can't do that without her permission. And I was like, you are not our Charles. You have not invaded somebody's mind without permission.
Let's see how it is when it's not with the White Queen, though. Like, if there's another character that needs a mind probe, which I don't think there is, but part of me is also like, maybe not her. Because isn't she usually presented as someone who could kind of contend with him a little bit?
Ultimately, he would win out, but he would have to, like, work on it. It's not a sure thing scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not.
But
just
yeah,
doing it to like a non-mutant child. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You get a quick jump over to Beast with Hisako, and they're talking about stuff, and she asks if Cyclops has always been a tool, and I feel like Punker Ducky wrote this.
Yeah. Beast has an interesting point of view, though. He's like, you're both kind of like figuring your shit out.
Yep. Yeah. Her logic is, well, he doesn't smile. He's always judging people and stuff like that. But yeah, you're both just kind of like struggling to find your way right now. And he specifically mentioned Scott has a wound that's probably never going to heal too. So
I know it's like not Beast's business to tell a child why, but doesn't that feel like a weird thing to bring up with no explanation?
Like, why wouldn't you just say what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, if you mentioned that much, then just be like, he lost someone very important to him. Or at least something like, you know, because we find out a little bit later, she doesn't seem to quite know if he meant, like, emotional or physical wound.
Yeah, in the next episode, she straight up asks what it is. Yeah. Back over in the war room, Cyclops is basically like, yeah, sure, you want to let her in. Just remember today when she decides to backstab all of us. And he leaves, and Emma has, like, a subtle little smirk on her face as that happens. And it's like, okay, are they going to actually lean into the backstab? Or is this, like, weird, we know they're going to fuck one day flirting, and this is how it starts?
Little bit.
Like, yeah, little column A and column B at this point.
we learned that, backstabbing is this version, this Cyclops' kink or something. He likes a little betrayal in his...
always a psychic, though. Always has to be a psychic.
Right. Jean,
her clone, Emma, Psylocke at one point. I mean, yeah, that was a weird one. I wasn't expecting him to go for Psylocke, but yep. Storm, like, point blank asks, like, who could Scott have seen? And they finally call out that, well, it wouldn't have been that hard for Mastermind from the Inner Circle to have made him see that. So I'm happy it's getting like they're not being coy about it. They're just straight up addressing like what it could have been, because they are not stupid. They know he saw something. He's not imagining something fake, you know. He's responding to what actually was happening at that point.
I don't know how you trust anything in a world where there's shapeshifters and like telepaths and stuff. That's crazy. And not just like one, like there's teams of them.
Somebody sounds like he's a member of the Friends Against Humanity, Rod.
I'm not saying I would act on it. I'm just saying, like,
No,
I wouldn't be like, I have a vendetta against this woman because I saw something. But in the world with like blue people and, you know, shapeshifters, like,
well, the problem is you have plausible deniability of everything. I didn't commit a crime. A mutant took my face and then did this. You know?
Yeah.
Thank God that's not real.
Yeah.
We don't even believe stuff right now because somebody will lie and say it's AI when it's not AI. So we're cooked, man.
Or we're in that nuance now too. Did you see the last SNL episode with the dude from Heated Rivalry?
I did not know.
So his co-star made a cameo in it. I guess spoiler if you haven't watched SNL yet. But they're at the end when they do the big like group thing, you know. His co-star comes up behind him and gives him a hug. It's a very sweet moment, especially for the two having a big show. And so this photo of them starts circulating online. I guess and someone correct me if I'm wrong, I guess what happened was the photographer on the SNL set fucked up and didn't get the photo. So like, someone in the crowd took like a blurry iPhone photo that was probably zoomed in like 8 times or something. And then someone like either up-resed or recreated it in AI. So the moment happened. But the image of the moment was not what happened. Yeah. And most people can tell because Mumford & Sons was the musical guest and like the keyboard player or something is like in the background and it's a different face. Like it's a different person
that would do
wearing the same clothes. So it's just like, what, you know, what do you do with that? It happened, but the image is not real, you know? Anyway. So.
No, that's spot on. We're the show that's a bunch of tangents with X-Men in the middle of it. We're fine. So Cyclops goes back to Beast's lab, grabs Hisako, tells her, congratulations, you're a junior member, let's start training right now. And she's definitely in like Emma's my teacher, like camp. Like she's like, I don't need to respect you. And then he grabs her arm and he's like, no, I'm your teacher, let's going. Like, let's get moving on this one, so.
He's like kind of like projecting his hatred of Emma to her, right? Because it's his only outlet right now. Or maybe, I guess we find out in a little bit, like, it's more of like, he doesn't want to relive the trauma.
I think it's very much the, like, he's also worried about what she just did in the previous, like, training, that she's not ready. So it's kind of like a harsh reality for her of, like, you got to get this shit right, because if you're messing around and Emma did this awful job of training you, I don't want you to die on my watch, because now you're a member of my team, you know?
Yeah, so it's kind of, because they didn't make it super clear, but I guess the first thing wasn't training. It was just like an evaluation.
Yeah, because they weren't really telling her to do anything other than just, like, go in the danger room and try to not die, and she failed at that, so.
But I guess, like, maybe I need to go back and rewatch and see, but my understanding of Hisako up to this point wasn't that Emma was training her to be a warrior, just how not to, like, die from her powers or something, you know, or kill other people.
But,
so, like, to throw her in a battle situation seems kind of crazy.
Right, but she also didn't use her powers properly to not die from the Sentinel either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep. So they go back into the danger room. Everyone is watching. And then she throws out the options, because she's still, like, playing it sarcastic right now of, like, oh, you know, is it going to be robots again? You know, referencing Sentinels. Is it going to be aliens? And that's, like, a reference to, like, the Brood or the Imperial Guard. Or vampires. I'd really like vampires. And I think we've mentioned this before. Like, there's always this, like, underlying story that of anyone who does the interaction with Marvel's vampires, the X-Men are, like, number 2 on the list, basically. So, because we saw that in the X-Terminators book. There's, like, this ongoing story between Jubilee being a vampire at one point, and then, like, Storm and Dracula have a rivalry and stuff. It's always weird saying Dracula as a Marvel character.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it myself, but I've heard about those things. Yeah, like Dracula's a canon Marvel character, but also it was that list in one of our earliest episodes that was like summary of every X-Men story, and it was like aliens ruin Scott Summers' day, vampires ruin Scott Summers' day,
robots ruin Scott Summers' day.
Scott Summers ruin Scott Summers' day.
I think that's actually our number 1 or number 2 video ever on TikTok.
That makes sense.
It was
a funny list.
Yeah. It was that one, and then the one where somebody just decided to argue with us that it wasn't Mary Jane in the cameo in the Alps episode.
Yeah.
God, that was such
another redhead.
That was such good engagement bait. Because there's one person who wanted to fight us, and it was like, cool, just nobody's saying anything racist, just let them keep going.
Yeah. It's probably because I have keywords set up on there, so they might have said it, and it just didn't make it to the comments.
Valid. But Scott says, nope, it's one-on-one, and telling you to not hold back. I want this to be a real risk. You know the robot in the danger room isn't going to kill you, so the only way we get you to give a real reaction is to take the safeties off. But then puts them on the wing of a plane, because she's not going to fall off and die, because there's nowhere for her to go.
I actually don't know how the danger room works in those kind of scenarios, because
hard light holograms.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah,
but there's nowhere to go. But sometimes you can't get a grasp where the space is, because you'll fall from like a cliff and be like, is the danger room that? But I guess the purpose of that, right, was to give her no place to hide, right? So she can't hide behind a tree or something.
Which she does try doing, because she hops over the engine or the jet of the jet, whatever the fuck that's actually called. God, we are so bad at that kind of stuff. And she just basically keeps running. Storm is like, no, this isn't cool. And Emma is actually the one who tells Storm to hold, because she already realizes what Scott is actually going for here. So
yeah, I guess there's the implication too that Emma might have overheard Scott's intentions, right?
I didn't get that from it. I thought it was all body language and such.
Yeah, she's definitely watching his body, right? That's what we know. But I think I didn't catch that until later. I think the next episode, Emma says something to Xavier. It's so she can just kind of eavesdrop accidentally sometimes on people's thoughts.
End of this episode, yes.
Oh, the end of and so, but more so, at that kind of made me understand a little bit, not necessarily physically harming a child, but I remember being a teenager, and sometimes when you're that unserious, it takes overcompensating things get really too serious for you to snap out of the goofy whimsy of it, and no, so he actually shot, right, I guess punched her.
He shot her in the shoulder.
Yeah, and so he's oh my god, he's really gonna do it,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cyclops then gives a little bit of a speech that you could tell this, and Storm calls it out, they didn't try to hide it. He's reliving his moments with Jean of you can't be the victim, you have to be stronger than this, you need to use your power to stop me kind of scenario. And at that point she swaps over to Yellow, and that's why I'm okay, Yellow's powered up but still in control of it. She gets bigger, she starts to fight back, and at one point she actually connects with Scott, and he's bleeding from the mouth on that hit. So, which again, I'm sure if Punker Ducky was watching it, she would love. And then if you notice, Scott does I forgot what other show it was, but I think it was Wolverine who was provoking somebody into a fight, but he wasn't actually swinging. It was just more so getting that person to keep swinging on him, because he's just dodging hits or taking hits and things like that. And then it looks like she fully loses control, and then it's kind of that moment of you have to control this, and stops right an inch from his face before she actually connects to him on it. So
it's kind of one of those the professor moments from a 90s movie, right? Where he trusts a student enough
to not murder him.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the takeaway was from that, but it's he could, or maybe he wanted to die. Like he was like either way. He was like either way, it's going to work out my favor. I'll either be rid of this, pain, or
I win regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I guess the core of his problem is like he believes that Jean is gone forever, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, either this is never going to happen again, or I won't have to think about it again.
So Scott walks up to her and is basically like, "You're stronger than you think," and Hisako is not happy with all of this, and then that's where we get your favorite line from Wolverine saying, "He's a dick, but it worked." And I love that is how they wrote it, because it feels like a maturely written Wolverine, that they don't have to go to like swearing to make it edgy, but it's like, yeah, that's how Logan would talk in a scenario like this. Hisako powers down, Cyclops compliments Hisako, and then she's like, she doesn't want to get turned into a monster off of this. And what you were bringing up earlier, Cyclops is like, she has to deal with this. Like, we all have to deal with this, and if she can't deal with it, she's gonna die. Like, as much as this sucks, this is what her life is now, Yeah.
And I also had like a little technical note on this part. Cyclops says that his entire line there with absolutely no animation. And I don't know, because I know that's sometimes an anime thing. Or I didn't know if it was like, was there not a line there in the Japanese version? And then this was a way to get it in,
I mean, that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like, because I know the spot you're talking about, but I didn't notice that there wasn't. Was it like a still and they were like pulling back a little bit? Or was it just like.
It was like that. And his mouth definitely wasn't moving.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. But yeah, and that actually kind of made me think more about like how much more that reinforces like the parallel of like mutants in the Marvel universe being like other marginalized groups in the real world, of like, even if she doesn't want to be this, like this is at the core. It's not even like a choice. It's like they're just as elemental as who she is. And so like, even if she doesn't want to face these things, she's gonna have to like learn the best and worst about herself. Yeah, no matter what, she's in it, regardless of if she wants to be. Does she need to be a part of the X-Men? No, but she's still going to have to deal with, like, she's already been kidnapped for just being a mutant and not even like publicly displaying her powers. Like, they knew she was a mutant, Yeah.
You see sad Hisako, who's on a balcony, and it starts snowing a little bit, and then you get to see a little more how this version of Storm utilizes her powers. So
I was hoping for an unhinged Storm speech, because to me this was Storm on the dome thing with Jubilee. This Storm wasn't as unhinged, with the exception of making it snow, right? Like, she was showing off her powers a little bit. But I was hoping she was going to be like, "We're all freaks, honey," but she didn't do anything.
This Storm is not written like that,
Yeah.
She mentions how she was at a turning point, and it was really like, if she didn't have Charles, stuff could have turned really, really different from her. And then gives kind of the ethos of being a mutant is like changing the hearts of men about how they interact with with them as a group. Hisako just wants to be normal, which I feel like now that has become the obvious trend from the young member of the team in any of the cartoons. Like, that was Jubilee, that was Kitty Pryde in Pride of the X-Men, that was like a bunch of the kids in Evolution. So the only one we didn't really get that from was Wolverine and the X-Men, because they were all basically adults at that point.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the moment, and then Emma joins them outside, and you can't let your power master you, and Hisako's still pretty much doubting herself, her own strength. She doesn't think she's as strong as Emma is, and she keeps emphasizing that, and that's where Emma decides, all right, Charles, let's go. You get to see my memories and share them with the entire team.
It's sweet that it was her young student that was like the thing that made her want to. Coming out is not the right word, but kind of like be vulnerable with acquaintances. Because I wouldn't say they're friends yet, right?
No, yeah, definitely not. Yeah. So I wrote it down as red nightmare haze when Charles goes into her memory at first, because it's like
I didn't think about that.
It's like an ugly visual effect. It's like it is not pretty when he goes in there the first time. And you see like moments from when she was a kid. Quick note: when there's the other moms that are reacting to her, one of the kids is holding an Iron Man figure in his hand.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I didn't notice that. Freaking event.
She basically gets called like a skank. They phrase it as college. That was also one of the localizations where it was in high school originally, and I'm sure there was like a standards scenario where like, let's not call the high school girl a skank. Let's wait till she's in college, because that makes it okay.
Also, the way they draw Emma in this, I have to imagine that also probably part of the.
Fair. Then she is at what they refer to as a birthday party, where it looks like Emma has started to like use her powers to manipulate a little bit to like get into the upper echelon, like the higher class, like party vibes and stuff like that. Gets pulled into Mastermind's car, and like it's already giving creepy vibes on it. Like, yeah. Talks about using her talents, and then you see where she essentially joins the inner circle, and those characters I have never heard of before. Those are not the inner circle that we know from the Hellfire Club in the United States.
Okay.
I looked up the names on them, and they are all like Neuron, Marsh, and Rat.
So
yeah.
Maybe you wonder if Marvel is just like, you can't kill these people, or you can, I don't know, like, because otherwise, there's no reason for not them to be like the names, right?
Yeah, especially now, because it doesn't feel like the inner circle is our inner circle at all anymore. Like, yeah. But those are those silhouettes. She does some manipulation. It looks like she's getting like assets from some guy, and then she's feeling guilty. And this, I'd imagine they changed the language on it, because they refer to him as throwing his life away. And I guarantee you, the original version is straight up, yeah, he killed himself because of what happened.
Yeah, it makes sense. I kind of assumed that, like, that was like closing the loop, right? Take all his money and then make sure he just goes away.
Or he realized what he did, and then he's like, so much shame from it that he takes himself out too. I inferred suicide from it, so
that makes more sense. Yeah. Because it's always a temporary thing with her, right?
Yeah, because she's feeling guilty about it. She would have known if they were going to kill him, but it's like she was like, "Oh, I'm just manipulating him," and then he did what he did. Like, that's where I think the guilt came in more than anything else.
I initially, before you had said everything you just said, I thought that she had like suggested to him for him to off himself. But it makes more sense. You're saying that that's
way darker. Yeah,
but it makes more sense that he woke up and was like, "Oh, damn," like.
Yep. That's where she tells Mastermind that she is going to leave the inner circle, and he says it's harder than she thinks it's going to be to do it. I do wish that they showed like one or two scenes of her like being okay with being in the inner circle. Like, it seemed like she was like, join them. Then the first thing they show is her like not being happy with an end result, and then already quitting. Like, I wanted to see her like living it up a little bit as a villain, like not like full-fledged, like she's not killing somebody, but also like taking advantage of somebody, and that person doesn't off themselves kind of scenario,
Gotcha. Yeah, because we don't really get to see like what her life in that the place was like,
Yeah. And then you find out that the day that Jean died, she was actually with this little mutant boy who's like freaking out because of his powers and stuff like that. and essentially confirmed she was nowhere near what had happened with that, Scott had seen her and such. So
there's two things that confused me about that scene. Was I thought they were going to reveal that little boy was the one that Professor X has been seeing. Never mentioned. So I'm assuming
that kid looked a little bit different than the other one. The other one, I got like little redhead vibes off of him.
Okay.
There was like, I think it's a different character design. So
then the other thing was like, I'm guessing just because they said it, that's her alibi. That she wasn't nearby. But it's like, so we're talking about a telepath. It wasn't she was like Colossus. Like, like, oh, she couldn't have been.
You're right.
Like,
she is not Colossus.
It's like, but she's a telepath, right? Like, so her physically not being somewhere isn't in itself just to explain. It's kind of like saying like that couldn't have been you when there's a Mystique running around somewhere. Yeah.
Again,
so, I don't know.
Rod.
Yeah.
Then Hisako hugs her, and Emma is kind of like showing her vulnerability, and it's like, see, I'm not as strong as you give me credit for. And then Cyclops gives a legit, sincere apology. There's no sarcasm, nothing backhanded on it. And he reaches out his hand. And I do love, like, Emma saying, like, does this mean I get to call you Scott, or is it still Cyclops? And he's like, no, we're still going with Cyclops. Like, we're not there yet.
Yeah, it's a work your way up, right? It's like the evolution states of, like, game characters. It's like, we're working together now.
Yeah. You got 3 friendship points. You got 10 before you get to call me by my name. Yeah. Yeah. It's all the reputation in World of Warcraft. That's what it is. The more missions I do, they have a whole system in there, and like I'm actually playing Warcraft for the first time in 21 years. But like each of the different groups that you can do missions for, the higher your reputation is, the more stuff you unlock with them. So yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah, like you get like, different skills, or you get to get discounts when you're buying stuff in that city, things like that. So, but back to X-Men, Beast is like packing up these the vials to be able to head over to Japan to take care of those people that the U-Men had abducted. You see the new and improved outfits for Emma and Hisako. And Emma asked, did you pick a code name? And we all knew it was going to be Armor because that's who she is as a character. But Emma doesn't have a code name. She's now the only one on the team without a code name.
Didn't they reference her as like a White Queen, though, or is that the next episode?
The team themselves have not called her that because that's like her inner circle name.
But she's just like referenced as that by somebody. I don't even know if she was in the room when they referenced it. But yeah, I get that. I also like, I like that her outfit. So it turned into. So I guess this is Emma's origin story in this universe, because her new outfit's the one that I think most of us know her from. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, it's the most traditional to her style. Yeah.
Still had that callback to the boob window.
Go play Marvel Rivals for 5 minutes, Rod. Yeah. Trust me. So they are going to focus on the valley that Xavier isn't able to read, and that's right by where everything is going on. And then what you were referencing, Emma stays behind and asks Charles about the Sasaki woman. And he's like, oh, did you read my mind? And she's like, dude, you were basically screaming. I couldn't not hear it. And then she asks him why, and he won't give an answer. So the Charles that won't invade somebody's mind is also still being coy about like a past relationship with somebody for some reason.
I was gonna say, I just assumed that this was one of Charles's ex-wives or fiancés or something, because like that's my experience with him in the other series. It's like
Charles Fox.
Like, yeah. And then all the women that he like left or screwed over or forgot about start a lab together is usually like when my vision.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the lab.
Yeah, that's just my thing. Is like
where his exes are working together to help mutants. Yeah. So she leaves without getting an answer. The jet takes off. And then Xavier ends on like one of the self monologues of like, I hope the X-Men are able to weather this storm. And I like that this episodes end with like pseudo cliffhangers. Like Granted, sometimes you come back into the next episode and it's like little tweaks between the end of one and the start of the other. But it's like the continuous narrative, like when reading a comic book versus like all the other shows of like, hey, here's a nice little button at the end of the episode to wrap everything up for you.
I guess the whole point of this episode, right, was give Armor her code name and then to kind of like presume like supposedly exonerate Emma. We're still not quite sure.
Well, I mean, we're 5 episodes deep into something that's only 12 episodes long. So it's like, I think the way that it's structured is very much a like, we're getting an entire story. We don't have to worry about cliffhangers or anything like that. So you could only have so many episodes where Scott is just like an abusive dick and you can't like get out of that relationship. Otherwise it would like, you start to turn Scott into the villain too, which everybody's okay with unhappy Scott, but we don't want Scott as a full-fledged bad guy. So. No.
But otherwise, I feel like this was one of those like explanation anime episodes, right? We had like a lot of kind of like the first time we saw Emma. When she woke up in the cryo things, like a lot of storytelling, but it was fine.
And we get 2 action scenes that you just like. Even with Scott being like, I'm not holding back, like, you know there's not going to be a scene where Scott accidentally kills Hisako. So,
although that would have been hilarious.
Just shoots her in the head and it just pops right off.
And that's the that's like is like a dark turn where he learns like he needs to be more careful with his actions or something.
Because he's murdering children. Yeah, Rob, maybe that's why we get shadow banned on YouTube every now and then, because I say phrases like murdering children and we don't edit our episodes. So I mark everything as also adult content, so no child should hear about that. So
and I've heard much worse on YouTube podcasts. So.
It's true. We avoid talking about how bad the real world is right now, so
no.
But yeah, so we got one more episode to record tonight. So let's wrap this one up and head over to that. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, if you have any thoughts, make sure you drop them into the comments for either the YouTube upload, the Spotify upload, or the official Instagram post about this episode. And if you like what you heard, we would appreciate a rating on the podcast app of your choosing. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube Podcasts. Even though every time I upload the video, it wants to set it to private, and I have to change it every other Monday morning. It's really stupid because it says duplicative content. YouTube, fix your shit.
Oh, even know that was okay.
Because it's the same name and the audio is a match. It's stupid.